An Israeli tech company says that they have a facial scanning device that can tell if you're a pedophile or a terrorist or both if you're particularly sick. The basic idea behind the startup is that human faces have multiple characteristics that are reflective of the genes that determine our personalities. And so everybody obviously has distinct genes. Those genes can manifest physically. And by mapping those, not with the human eye, which isn't sensitive enough, but through advanced computers and cameras and that sort of thing, they believe that they can determine some of the behavioral and personality consequences of expressing those genes. Because the physical expression of it is, of course, not the only outcome. The company is named Faception, and they have 15 different classifiers which evaluate with 80% accuracy certain traits.
Bullshit.
No, what bullshit? 80% accuracy. Faception, case closed. So they've already signed a contract with Homeland Security Agency to help identify terrorists. And by the way, the company says that their technology can be used to identify everything from great poker players to extroverts, pedophiles, geniuses, and white-collar criminals. Now, that doesn't mean that we would ever then prosecute those white-collar criminals, but we would at least know who they are. This is America, after all. And as a demonstration of their power and accuracy, the CEO said that Faception predicted before a poker tournament that 4 players out of the 50 amateurs would be the best. When the dust settled, 2 of those 4 were among the event's 3 finalists. Oh, damn.
Okay, this is complete.
2 out of 3.
This is complete and utter
6%.
nonsense. Okay, so now, but this is what our government wastes millions of dollars on, sometimes billions of dollars on eventually, right? And it is deeply immoral. So let me explain it all. So number one, they can't tell what a pedophile's face looks like or what a white-collar criminal's face. What crime did he do? Was it fraud? Was it tax evasion? Does the computer pick that up? Bloop, 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 bloop. He is more likely because of his genes to do tax evasion.
He has a mole.
Okay, wait a minute. How would it, there was no taxes when we were evolving. How would the computer know what tax evasion looks like on our face?
Well, devil's advocate, the idea that you could tell specifically that they're like a tax evader, I think is pretty ridiculous. I hope that they're not making that claim. But the idea would be that you can identify genes that can be linked with risk-taking behavior, maybe a predilection towards deception, or a lack of empathy, perhaps something that is more likely to be seen in the faces of sociopaths or something like that. It's not impossible that various psychological conditions or illnesses, however you want to define it, could be expressed in the face in a way that if you were to analyze thousands and thousands of faces, you couldn't find. I mean, if you looked at every American face and you did find a pattern amongst those who are known to be pedophiles, theoretically, you could then predict it.
Oh, great.
I don't believe that they can actually do it, but it's not impossible, I don't think.
Yeah, it's impossible. Okay, and so let me explain. It's not about the science.
I knew the second I looked at you that you wouldn't believe in this. It's based on it was the cheeks,
okay.
The ridges.
So first off, this is, even if you were to believe in this as a scientific possibility, it's in the category of pre-crime. Okay, so I looked at your face and I could tell you were going to be a criminal. No, it's okay. My algorithm did it. It wasn't me. I'm not prejudging you. And my algorithm realizes that you're destined to be a pedophile. The chance, by the way, the chance that anybody would be arrested for white-collar crime based on this is less than 0. That is not how it's going to be applied. Okay, let's be clear on how they're mainly going to apply it to so-called terrorists. Okay, and gee, I wonder what kind of people it's going to pick up. I can't quite tell. I wonder if it's really going to be a sophisticated analysis, or they're going to be like, oh, dude, okay, let's just, guys from these countries.
Yeah.
Bloop, 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 bloop.
Give me a little.
I have done sophisticated analysis.
Just give me some of those people.
Okay.
Yeah, and it doesn't even mean that the program really thinks that they're more likely to be. It just provides the pseudo-scientific rationale or justification to do the sort of stereotyping that you already wanted to do.
That's
Now,
exactly right.
We are sounding like technological regressives here, I know, but that's what this is designed to do.
No, but that is actually also part of the science, which is confirmation bias, right? So this is a very sophisticated way of just doing confirmation bias.
Yeah.
I wanted to target those kind of people, so I paid a couple of $1 million to this nonsense program, which tells me coincidentally that the guys I wanted to target are the correct guys.
Yeah.
Look at that. And I took taxpayer money and I flushed it down the toilet, and for immoral reasons. Now, when I say immoral, there's two reasons. One, pre-crime is insanity, right? So, like, what are you going to do with this? So now, let's say that it was right.
Would you provide counseling to the pedophiles?
You're going to pull aside people that you say that have not committed a crime yet, but have the face of a pedophile?
They might have committed a crime.
All right, okay,
We won't know until a computer scans them.
Exactly. By the way, that's not a joke. So the logical conclusion to this, and remember, the Pentagon already bought it. You say hypothetical, it ain't hypothetical. They bought it. They already paid money for this crap, okay? So what are they going to do? Well, the algorithm has determined that you are on a list of potential XYZ, right? So now we got to investigate you. I got to tap your phones. I got to do this. What the hell why are you invading my privacy? Well, the program said this. And it turns out you don't look at that kind of porn. You look at a different kind of porn. But that was a different problem, and now that I have it, what am I going to do? I got to prosecute you.
Yeah.
And will they use this against political opponents? What's the number one thing they use against political opponents? Sex.
Sex, yeah.
Okay, Elliot Spitzer, I investigated your bank for the amount of money that you withdrew. Somehow that led to a prostitute. What am I going to do? I found the prostitute, and there goes the sheriff of Wall Street, and nobody's there to regulate Wall Street anymore. Oops, golly gee.
Yeah.
And one more thing that makes it even more immoral. This is what we used to do as the world, and unfortunately, it was a little bit in this country as well, but obviously most acutely in Germany.
You're referring to phrenology.
Yeah. So now look, here's the thing: you're not allowed to say anything about Germany during World War II because that's an outrageous analogy, etc. Right? No, but they would literally measure the noses of Jews in Germany, and they would say, "Oh, a nose like that means this about their personality. That is why they're guilty."
Or the size of lumps and the size of the skull, and yeah.
Exactly. So now we're back to those days. And now it's okay, it's not a guy that's measuring it with a ruler, it's a fancy computer and an algorithm. It's the same goddamn thing. And so next thing you know, the people that are not desirable are going to be in a certain category, and they're going to be treated with more suspicion, their privacy is going to be totally violated, and God knows what else happens to them.
Yeah.
And they're using our money to do these kind of, you want to talk about a crime, this is a crime.
Yeah. Yeah, look, the CEO says that they're never going to release the information, and that it should be one of many variables that's used. But honestly, I don't think in this new technological era we can just trust a person. We should scan their face first. We need to scan the face, the CEO of Faception, see if he's really as trustworthy as he says he is. Let's have your genes do some talking.
Could you imagine? And if it turns out that his face is in one of the guilty categories, and then all of a sudden he'd be like, no, I mean, come on, come on.
Flashes in red, major pedophile.
Right. And to John's point about maybe you can tell from certain genes a gene for risk-taking. I totally get that, right? That doesn't mean a risk-taker is necessarily a white-collar criminal or a terrorist or a pedophile or whatever other category you want to put him in, or a great poker player. How do you know which side he's on? Maybe he's a great risk-taker and he does great in Wall Street or in poker, but he didn't violate any laws.
Yeah, they did choose 2 out of 3, though, so you still haven't answered that.
Okay. God, the Pentagon loves to throw our money in the garbage.
They go all in.
Yeah. Just so that they can have an excuse to do all the programs they want to do anyway.